Jeff Fears on Hot Homestead. I have another box I want to go over with you guys. Stuff's already taken out of the box, that's why it's so light. Let's take a look at what's in this box, or what was in the box. Thanks for tuning in, Jeff Fears on Hot Homestead. And so what was in this box is now on this table. So let's take a look at what it is. Check this thing out. This is a Thermomate. It's a water heater, electric water heater, not propane. Tankless water heater. Here's some of that cool information that some of you folks like. 240 volts, 45.8, so basically 46 amps. It's 11K. They have different sizes, like an 8K and etc. That's the same thing there. Very sleek design. It's your inlet for your cold, and it comes out over here as hot. It's a dial. Looks like here you just press this to kind of start it, and you dial it to whatever your temperature. Up here you can't see it on here, but up here you'll see the temperature. You have it Celsius or Fahrenheit. See, they got an 8,000, 11. I don't know what that one there is. That one's slightly different. But they also have propane ones. They have mini tank ones. So this is good bathroom literature. See, this is the one I have here. So let's just look at a little bit more on the specs here. 240 volts. 11K. Circuit breaker. 50 amp. That would be a double pull. Minimum water flow, just a half a gallon per minute. Interesting. That's what that basically means, is that's just how much to ignite the igniter that's in here, basically. They'll handle up to 87 psi. They recommend 6 gauge on the wiring, which makes sense because it's 46 amps. This here is good information. At 1.5 gallons per minute, it should raise it roughly 47 degrees. So what basically this is meaning is how much water that's flowing through here, the gallons per minute. And so obviously the lower temperature you go, then the more gallons per minute that you can get. Because you can see at 3 gallons, it's only 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Kind of gives you an idea what it might look like. It says it will basically get up to 131 degrees. That's freaking hot. You don't need it there. Factory set is at 105. That's probably perfect right there. Gives you some dimensions and, you know, the distance between here and the thickness and all that good stuff. You want to keep about, but that there is 15 inches and 12 inches here for your clearance. Tells you what's all in the box or what you're going to need. This is what's in the box. This is what you need. It does come with a template. We'll go over that here in a minute. Now this is a 240 volt water heater, but you're only going to have 2 hot lines coming in and a ground. So there is no neutral. I find that interesting. Now, maybe some of you electrical experts can explain this to me. Why is it that 120 volts has a neutral and 240 volts you can have a neutral or not have a neutral, and this will not have a neutral? That doesn't make sense. Why do you need a neutral at 120 but you don't with 240? I don't understand, but this here just says you just need 2 hot. So what you would do, for an example, is on your 3 wires, your ground goes here, and then your white and black would be that one. So normally at 240, you would have your neutral would be your white, and then your red would be your other hot. But this says you don't need that. See, there's your ground. You tell your ground because of the way that symbol is there. And then these are your 2 hots. Just some diagram of what this looks like inside. This one here, what it looks like inside. I kind of almost don't care as long as it works, right? And there's your troubleshooting. Great bathroom literature. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this cover off so we can look at where the wires connect. So you're going to have to take this cover off and do that. Let's also take a look at something else here. So there's a couple of gaskets that will go up there. There's some mounting screws. And there's a couple of brackets there. Here's your template. Wow, this is literally just a piece of cardboard. It kind of looks, it almost looks like it's halfway, huh? But I guess all you need to do is line this up to your edge, huh? Interesting. So you can use this template for the 14K, the 8K, and the 11K. Interesting. There's this and this. That's where these guys here clip on. So it really doesn't even attach to the wall. It more hangs on the wall. I almost kind of like that because hanging on the wall gives me a little bit of flexibility that if I do it wrong, I think it's a little easier to move it over. It even tells you inlet, so it's kind of foolproof. All right, let's go ahead and take this off. So this here just pops right off. Took out the screws. These screws are tiny screws. And it looks like you're going to want to be a little bit careful when you put this back on to make sure that it goes behind this grommet there. And when you lift it up, there's no wires connected to it. I really like that. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll have, well, it's kind of windy out. Sometimes they'll have this thing here actually attached to this and the wires will still be attached to it. I don't like that. I like that this comes totally off like that. That is really nice. I like that it's well protected there. Nice heat shield basically. And this is what I want to look at. So these are pretty simplistic. And it looks like all you got to do is just shove the wire up in there. And that's it. So you don't need any ring terminals at all. So I've got a 6-gauge wire right here, and I want to just take a look at something. All right, so 6-gauge wire fits up in there absolutely perfect. So it actually looks like it's designed for 6-gauge. Now, here's why I bring up 6-gauge. And I'll show you a picture on the screen here. When you go to the website and you look at the information about this device, it talks about using a 12-gauge wire. That worries me. And it worries me for this reason. This is a 46 amp. So it talks about a 12 gauge. This thing here says use 6 gauge. Well, a 12 gauge is only a 20 amp wire. Why would you use even the two 20 amp wires, line 1, line 2, each 20? That's still below your 46 amps. That worries me. So I sent an email to the company asking about the 12 gauge and the 6 gauge, why that there's conflicting information, and I haven't heard back from them as of yet. This is set for 6 gauge. I like the idea of using 6 gauge. Now, so this is a great water heater for this reason. You'll have, on the big water heater, your standard big tank water heater, it's like 40 gallons, takes up a lot of space. Look how big this is. It's tiny. These instant water heaters are actually the best way to go, these tankless ones. You can put them, this one here is a perfect for a bathroom, for a kitchen, or for the laundry. And that's what I plan on doing, is having multiple of these, one in each area, because I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, in a on-grid situation, the wiring is what's going to really matter. If you're using the 6-gauge wire on this thing, which it looks like you're supposed to, and I'll get verification from the company after a while, and I'll put it down in the description and in the comments field, but it looks like you should be using 6-gauge wire. A house normally doesn't have 6-gauge wire. So if you've already got a house that's built and you're going to put this in, you're going to have to run a separate 6-gauge wire, a 6.2 wire. You won't need a 6.3 wire, because you're going to use your black and your white and then your ground here, and that's all you're going to need. So a 6.2 wire is all that you need. But if you're already in the house, you're going to have to run that separately, and that may be difficult in some applications. If you're doing a remodel, that may make better sense, because you can then work it into your remodel. In an off-grid situation, which is me, this is perfect, because off-grid, you're kind of building your own thing. And so I'm going to go probably the 6-gauge, because to me that makes the best sense, and the double pole 50 amp breaker. Off-grid situation, this is perfect again for off-grid, because you're not constantly heating a water heater. You're only doing it on demand. The only issue you've got when you're off-grid is this is 11,000 kilo or 11,000 watts, 11K watts. That means your inverter has to use at least be more than 11K inverter. But because of the water pump and because of other lights and etc., you're probably going to need something closer to a 15, maybe even an 18K inverter to handle this and some of your other basic stuff. So, and that's what I plan on doing. I actually plan on having 3 6K inverters that can handle 240 volts. It's the other thing. They got to make sure that they can do split phase. 240 is called split phase also. So in an off-grid situation, you would have that. There's really not too much to do to this thing. The wiring is super simple. You're literally, in fact, I almost don't even need to show it to you, because you're just going to take your cable and you're just going to put it in that slot, and then you're going to tighten that screw that looks like it's just a standard. You tighten that one, then you put the white one through here, you tighten that one, you put the ground through here, and you tighten that one. Then you hook it up to your double pole breaker, you hook this one up to your ground, and you're done. That's all there is to it on the wiring. It's super simple. And as far as how far to cut that, it looks like that there is all that you're going to need, and that's about roughly a 1/2 inch. So the wiring is super simple. Wiring is a lot easier than I originally thought. I'm not going to take it apart, but it looks like everything, they got some kind of amp deal through here. I think this is just measuring the amps that are going through these two lines and using that to help adjust this. So, yeah. Not too sure exactly why it's there, but I bet you that's reading the amps through here. So maybe if you don't have enough amps, maybe it cuts it off or something. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about that, as long as it works, right? It's that simple. Looks like you can put bare wire, well, not bare wire, but you put your insulated wire through here and it'll clamp it down. Now, what you could do too is this is just a standard clamp. You can take this one here off and you can put another one on so that you can actually do a regular conduit right up to it. And in some applications that might be better, especially if you're doing it in a bathroom or a kitchen. That way you'll have a solid conduit through here. It will look better. I may do that. I may not. Let me show you what I mean. You see, basically you just take that nut and you loosen that nut there. And this is the same thing you'd buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever, your hardware store. So that's just a standard clamp there. So you can get the you can change this out and put a different one in there. So that's nice. So that you can run either that flex conduit or you can run the rigid conduit. So, well, really that's about it on this. There's really not too much more to show on this thing. Again, as you put this in, you want to make sure that this is on the outside. It was pretty simple to take off. And then you just put your screws back in place. Put your knob back in place. To turn it on, you just press it. And then you dial it in to whatever temperature you want. Yeah, that's it. I really like this. Thank you, sir, Thermomate, for sending it to me. I'm definitely going to get good use out of it. And what I'll do for you guys too is as I'm building my place, I will do a follow-up, a year later, 2 years later, things like that. I'll let you know how well this is doing. I'm pretty sure it will last a while. They're pretty basic nowadays. Companies are making them like crazy. So it's pretty simple technology. One thing I don't think I mentioned was this. So on this inlet, there's a screen filter in here. And if you notice, the inside looks almost like a nut. Put a nut in there and you can screw out that filter and clean it and put it back in. I don't think you'll need to replace it. I think just cleaning out, it would be fine. There is, when I took off this cap, there is a little bit of moisture. So it looks like that this device has been tested. So that's cool. These are 1/2 inch. And it looks like just a standard screw on is all you need. So you don't need anything that's flared. Let's just look at the other side here. Yeah, the other side is, and you feel the moisture. But basically, there's no filter obviously there. You don't need one. Now here's why I was mentioning earlier, you got to watch these grommets here. Look at what I did. See how I pinched the grommet there? So you want to make sure, I may have to pull this back up so I don't rip it. So that side did fine. But anyhow, this is definitely going to get good use. Like I said, it's pretty simple. Just got to really, I think, make sure that you got your clearance on each side. And the book tells you everything you need to know. So like I said, great bathroom literature. And you may want to change this guy here out so you have solid. Do the flex conduit or the solid conduit, however way. That would probably look better than having, you know, the wires sticking in, like say. It'll probably look a lot better. And this is just standard, so you can get that at any of the hardware stores. That's about it. I'll put a link down below so you guys can get yourself one. See you. Bye. Have fun.